This is the Running Channel podcast with me, Andy Baddeley, my lovely co-host, Sarah Hartley, and over there, Rick Kelsey, not pressing too many buttons this week, but he's very excited because he's got some news which we're going to be talking all about in this episode.
I'm excited to be alive. I'm also excited that we all dressed together this morning.
Yes, black and white was the theme for today, and Rick is sporting a picture of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II, on his lovely jumper today.
Which is not our merch.
Oh no, it's not.
Just for any confusion.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're not selling this.
No, we're not selling that. We are selling what Sarah and I both wear, and we're matching in our Run, Improve, Repeat sweatshirts.
Yeah, I would actually though love to see it. It's like a really nice line drawing where it's all one line outlining like her crown and her face. I would absolutely love to see you try to replicate that.
Yeah, that's
Like
definitely
your drawing.
a challenge for the pub.
It's a good idea for a next video. Anyway, should we do it?
Yeah,
Yes,
let's
let's
do
get
it. So we are talking about today a very exciting thing which happened a few weeks ago. But before we talk about your 5K PB attempt, should we catch up on the week?
We should. So who wants to go first? I think Andy should go first this week.
Yeah.
I'm poised. I'm ready to talk about my running because I'm having a slightly different running experience the last couple of weeks. Picked up from marathon training when I'd had 3 or 4 weeks of like recovery post-marathon, and now trying to train for some faster stuff. And I've been thrust into doing I think what's going to end up being a 1 mile time trial in March. It was going to be a 5K, and I'm still training to run a faster 5K.
A 1 mile time trial.
Yeah.
So,
That's a bit of you though.
yeah, that is just you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it is former me. It is previous life me. And then having done 3 or 4 months of marathon training, it now doesn't feel like me. So trying to run fast again, yeah. Which I do love it though. I'd much rather this stuff than the really long stuff.
So how fast can you go?
Well, that's the thing. I genuinely don't know because I was running. The fastest thing I would have done during my marathon training was probably 5.5 minute miling.
That is actually disgusting.
It is, isn't it?
But then I'm saying that that's not as fast as
Yeah.
I will be. I don't know if I can get down to around about 4.5 minutes. That's the target, I think.
Ugh.
Which saying it out loud does sound pretty horrible, doesn't
Gosh.
Ugh.
it? Yeah, horrible. But
But
So
are
what-
you in a fitness state to do that?
no.
Yeah, so what are you trying to do to get you to 4.5 minute miling?
Well, right now the battle I'm facing is, I think I was getting a little bit more allowance at home for the big marathon challenge, whereas now I'm trying to fit my training in before football training on a Saturday and not my football training.
Trips to
I'm coaching it.
Barcelona.
Oh, yes, I did go out to Barcelona, but
Yeah.
so I'm trying to run 4 times a week, so that's a big step,
Yeah.
but not do as much volume. And so I was doing things. I did an interval session on Friday morning, but then had to hop on a train to get into London, so it was really tight for time. And then Saturday got out and did my long run in the afternoon. So this is one of the things I was going to talk about. My lovely wife also wanted to run, and we had so many kids' activities that there was only space for one of us to run first thing in the morning. So she took that priority slot.
Oh.
Yeah. So then I had lunch, and then the only slot for me to run was at like 2:30 p.m. on Saturday, and I felt awful. Awful. It's the worst time ever to run. It was
It's
daylight.
so
It was actually quite
bad.
nice conditions, and my lovely daughter came out on the bike with me, which is very wholesome.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just think running any time after midday is a bit painful.
Yeah. I did the same thing this week. I did my long run I think I left at 3:30 on a Sunday afternoon.
Ooh,
yeah.
That's brutal.
Such an
That is
error.
right,
How long's
really
long at the
on a
moment?
Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, 24K.
Oh,
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh! What
And
on earth? What after a Sunday lunch?
No, I didn't have a Sunday lunch.
you don't really have any excuses though. Why didn't you just get
Well,
out
just
and
get
do it
up
at like
and-
9 or
Right,
10
so-
in the morning?
Let me explain.
Oh yeah, here
Let
we go. This
me
will be good.
explain. So on Saturday, I went to a friend's birthday party, and for their birthday, they wanted to do a 10-mile walk,
Oh, okay,
which until I arrived, I thought was a 4-mile walk. So
right.
She sounds fun.
was quite upset about that. And
Okay.
it took us 5 hours to do this 10-mile walk. And also
Happy birthday.
what was what was absolutely hilarious is that like a couple of us turned up wearing like Garmin's,
Yeah.
but we were like, oh, you guys like do the navigation. Like this is your day. Like I don't want to be the person that turns up with my watch being like, let me get the navigation up.
Yeah.
After an hour where like we got lost like 4 or 5
Yeah.
times, I was like, I think I'm going to download the GPX file of this to
Yeah.
ensure that we don't walk any further. But yeah, it took 5 hours.
Okay, so 5 hours Saturday, which
Yeah.
meant that you couldn't run on Sunday until
I was broken.
3:30.
I was
From a
so
walk?
broken. Yeah. My
I-
hips were in pain. Everything was hurting.
Are you saying that
I
walking does more damage to your body than running?
No. Well,
To our bodies, maybe because we're more used to running. I would honestly say that the worst I've ever felt in terms of how my body feels and the longest it takes me to
Is after a
recover
long
from.
walk?
No, is after a wedding. Like if I go to someone's wedding,
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
standing up all day.
It's time on
Compared
feet.
to like running
Time on
a
feet.
marathon,
Yeah.
it's worse.
Because that's the thing. Like loads of people say to me, you know, I ran Chicago Marathon with Tom and I did it at his pace. So like usually for me, a marathon is, I don't know, 3-4 hours.
Yeah.
Not 3, definitely closer to 4.
Yeah.
With Tom, it was just over 6. And people were like, oh, that must have been so easy. And I was like, no, because that amount of time on feet was just as hard because you're like using...
It's hard in a different way, isn't it? You're running in a slightly different way. So walking, you're moving in a slightly different way, like standing at a wedding. It just absolutely batters you. So you ran in the afternoon on Sunday as well?
Yeah, awful. So I tried to get all of the jobs that I didn't want to do done first. So like tidied my flat, did the food shop, walked my dog. My dog
tried
also...
to get the jobs done first. That's 100% just procrastination.
Oh
right?
yeah, and then I sat on the sofa for half an hour between each job.
Yes.
And then it reached 3:30.
Yeah, then I headed out. And also,
you're just about getting the window of darkness as well, right?
Oh yeah, it was getting dark in Battersea Park as I was just trudging around. And it was like 5k easy, and then it was 5k like just slower than marathon pace.
Yeah.
And then repeat. And then the last 4k, I think is the slowest 4k I've ever done. Because it was just uphill.
Home. Just get home.
I went into it, I did a U, I went into a shop, bought myself.
Did a U. Well, mine were always planned.
Oh yeah, this is not planned. I just got to a Sainsbury's and was like, yes, I need that right now. Give me some drink.
Very different experience for me on Sunday. I didn't have a long run. I'd done it on Saturday, and my long runs aren't that far at the moment. I did an hour. But the Sunday I had hills for the first time in like scheduled.
You had
hills.
to do hill repeats.
Like hill repeats, 30-second hill repeats. So I had to do 2k tempo, then 8 30-second hill repeats.
Love that. And was your daughter there for that bit as well?
No, they were all in bed. I did that pretty early on Sunday morning to get back for various sporting activities. Yep, living the dream. I'm finding it really hard squeezing stuff in at the moment, and that's just mentally been really exhausting.
You know what I did in the last week that I've not done before, running wise? So I was on holiday.
Yeah.
I did barefoot running.
Oh,
so
on the beach?
On the beach. So I was in Cornwall. Some guy came up to me at the National Running Show a couple of weeks ago, and I've got him in my phone as his name's Andy Lincolnshire. I thought that was his name, Andy Lincolnshire, but I think it was Andy from Lincolnshire.
Yeah.
Because he's a podcast fan, clearly. He knows you'd want to know where you're from.
Yeah. So, and he was talking to me about how he goes barefoot running on the beach in Lincolnshire. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go while I'm on holiday.
Is it sandy in Lincolnshire?
I think it's quite, it's very
It
flat.
must be. If
Isn't it
can't
England's
be,
flattest
can't be
county?
pebbly, that'd be absolutely
Oh,
brutal.
just imagine a pebbly.
Yeah,
Right.
so I tried it. So I ran on the beach in Cornwall.
Nice.
It
How
was
far
really,
did you
really
go?
slow. Really slow.
Cold as well.
No, it was really warm.
No, the weather, but like, was the sand not really cold?
No, it was really nice.
Huh.
I really enjoyed it. I would say to anyone, try a bit of barefoot running if you've not tried it yet.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Definitely, people who are now converts would do it all the time. It does take a long time to build up to it, doesn't it? And it's kind of, you can't just go, all of a sudden I'm going to do all of my runs barefoot.
No.
Forever. I think you've got to try it, like, and do it somewhere forgiving, grass or sand, and give it a go. I don't like running on the beach because of the camber.
The camber.
The
the
what?
camber. How it tilts.
Yeah, it depends on how steep that camber is as to how unpleasant it is. But I've always found, I feel a bit out of kilter running on the beach.
Not much camber, and there wasn't much camber when I tried to run as fast as I could ever run.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, segue.
Yeah.
Back to Rick.
Yeah. He's sat very patiently listening to our weekend stuff, hasn't he?
So
but I
we
could see him
must-
rubbing his hands together.
We must caveat this with, if you're listening to this or watching this, there should be on our YouTube channel a video called Rick running a 5k PB. Search it. It'll be one of our recent videos.
That's probably not the title, is it?
It is probably not the title. It'll be something a lot more catchier than that, but it should have gone live by the time that this podcast comes out. If it's not, it's probably my fault. So sorry about that. It's
100%
coming
Sarah's
very
fault.
soon.
Yeah.
But if you've watched it or not, maybe we'll keep back the result until the end of this podcast to keep people on their toes a little bit. But if you've watched it, you will know already. But should we just go through? So what was the aim of that run?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the year, we all set out our aims for 2024. And my aim was to run faster than I've ever run before at certain distances.
Yeah.
So starting at 5K and 10K and seeing where we go from there. So this is the first step in my 2024 running aims, which is to run faster than I have done before at 5 kilometers. And this isn't just faster than I've ran since I had an osteotomy. Since I was, on crutches.
Have you had serious
I've
knee
had,
surgery?
I had an osteotomy, 2 years ago.
You
Have I
never
told you to?
mentioned
I
that.
told you to.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's when they cut your shin in two and then put it back in, basically.
Yeah.
with
I
a
mean,
bar
I've seen
across
some
it.
absolutely horrific.
Every time
Have you seen that
you
every time?
mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this was the aim here was to run faster than I have done at 5K as an adult in a timed event.
And your last personal best was in
was in 2019
Yeah.
when I ran 23:19
So that's a good
at
like
5K.
Yeah.
5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Well, also like, 23:19, which is not hanging about and was on healthy knees. And also bear in mind what's happened since then, like lockdown. And I remember actually meeting up with you. You came up to my house. I don't know whether it was during lockdown, but it was certainly during that period. And like you were in a really low place because of your knee and what was happening with the surgeries and what was having to happen again because you'd already had one surgery.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a lot. And then to even be in a position where you can then hopefully try to run faster than you'd ran even before all that happened.
Well, this is what I said during the
Yeah.
run. I was like, I remember I came out with you on your first run outside.
Yeah,
And I remember
Christmas a year ago.
Yeah, and I remember that day, like there was no mention of, we weren't even looking at our watches apart from going like, oh, we're going pretty pacey here, let's calm it down a bit. But like it was the joy in your face of just being able to put one foot in front of the other and running outside. And it's absolutely incredible that you've gone from that to in a year going like, actually no, like my fitness is in a place where I can give 5K PB a go.
Honestly, I don't think I ever thought I'd get back to running anywhere near the pace that I'm running at now, as in attempting to take on 23:19 at 5K. And like that moment when I went to Andy's, that was probably the bottom, because I'd had 2 operations in one go, which is basically they went in and they tried something that didn't work, and then it was like, well, I don't know if I'm ever going to actually be able to walk again without pain at this point. So it was like, well, my aim is not anywhere near. Let's see if I can ever beat my PB again. It's it's just, it wasn't even looking at that. You know, I had a chondroplasty, which is basically when they try to shave off all the bits of bone
Such
with a bit
horrible
of heat.
words.
And that didn't work. And arthroscopy. So at this point, I was just kind of like, well, let's just see where we go to. And then gradually from that run in December of 22, the whole of 23 was just about building up. And that was about, getting yourself to a position where you can run again. And I suppose, for people listening to this who've had serious injuries and think about getting back, I've always talked about how strength and conditioning played a part in that role in getting back to running.
Yeah, you bang on about it, but because it's important, and I would jump into this with you as well to say it's incredibly important, but also like the diligence that you showed there, like it was, you had to show up pretty regularly in the gym, and it wasn't like you were putting in hours and hours. You had a very specific routine and you stuck to it like pretty religiously.
Yeah. Because even now, like, what is your ratio of like gym to running?
50-50.
Yeah.
It's still 50-50.
Yeah.
And I do it in a way that I go to the gym and I always say, right, I've got 6 exercises, but I rotate those 6 exercises and they're generally just leg exercises.
Yeah.
Single leg thrusts. It's all about just building up, maintaining muscle strength in my legs. I might throw in a bit of upper body stuff, but generally...
That's why he's just holding a pen. Can't lift can't lift anything else.
The guns.
He picks up all his shopping with his feet.
Sarah, this is why I tell you, as the worst S&C person in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
What streak am I
it's
on
changed.
now?
It's changed. You're on a winning streak. You're on a winning streak.
4, 5?
I'm on a 4-week streak.
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
I think it's a
5 or
5
6
week.
weeks.
No, I'm on a 5-week streak. I've
Okay.
done it every week in 2024. And 1 week I did 2 things.
Hello.
Did some yoga.
Yeah, you come to the gym with me soon.
Yeah, you've inspired me, mate.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the... No, I haven't.
No.
He nearly believed you. He nearly believed that he was an inspiration. And even Rick's ego wouldn't let that one wouldn't let that one pass.
And I was just kind of like ticking off the time like through 2023. So I was like, well, what can I knock off a couple of seconds here? And then every Saturday, and then I started figuring out how my watch worked. And
How many powers you were putting in each week.
You're
I was like,
smashing those powers as an
can I
through the
power goldfish? And I was like, well, can I get through, the 5 minutes per kilometer mark? And I was like, can I keep every kilometer under that? Can I start doing negative splits? And then, I got closer and closer to the time, and I thought, well, maybe I can give this a bit of a shot. Maybe I can give it a go. But I never expected to be there.
Yeah, just on what you just said then, I think it's really powerful that loads of people will be listening who might have time goals, who also might just have running goals in general. And yes, you chunked it I would say, running channel podcast lingo.
Oh,
You
yeah.
were like, you had that goal kind of that kept you coming back, which is, can I see figures underneath 5 minutes on my watch for each kilometre? And that could just be, can someone run to the next lamppost without walking? Or can someone get to a further part on their run without walking? Or can they do 2 laps of the same, 2.5K loop that they would normally do? Or can they just run a little bit further every week? And I think the power of having like this, it's almost intermediate aim that like helps you when you go out for a run is massive.
Yeah. And it is true. And also chunking it and how you build it up as well. Because I got to a point that by last Thursday when we did this, I was running 3 times a week and going to the gym. So it'd be 2 times a week training, 2 times a week running, 2 times a week in the gym, and then like a race or a 5K, some kind of thing on a Saturday. And that level and building in the intervals into it, I was doing 8 times 200 meter interval work with 100 meter walking in between each 200 meters.
Yeah.
And that kind of speed work in intervals, I think, was really useful.
Because you got to be training faster and slower than your 5K pace.
And still pain free throughout everything.
Say again?
And still pain free throughout everything in terms of the knee.
Oh, yeah. I don't have any pain.
Yeah, DOMs from other stuff, right? But not the knee stuff, which is amazing.
I don't have any
no
pain
arm pain.
No arm, definitely no arm pain. I don't know whether you saw, I did over 1,000.
We got to the day, and Sarah, I realised, is faster than you and I think she is, Andy. Because when we're doing this...
Never underestimate Sarah.
We're running around the park, but Sarah, for 23 minutes odd, is talking the whole time that I'm running.
So I didn't think this through.
It's fun, that, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, so
let's talk through that, I think.
So I didn't think this through because basically Andy was off gallivanting in Barcelona. So that left me as a pacer.
Absent parent.
You gave me some stick for that. I sent him a message saying,
how many stars was the hotel?
I mean, it was a beautiful 5-star hotel.
Was it nicer than the one we stayed in Budapest?
Oh, it was that level of hotel.
Oh.
It's Andy. He doesn't. If he's going anywhere,
he doesn't.
He's like, what, 4?
Stars.
What is 4? I
don't
know.
Exactly.
Sorry, I don't know that number.
Hey, there's got to be some perks. If
Anyway.
I put that with you two every week, there's got to be some perks.
Back to Sarah's gob.
Yeah.
Sorry, back to me. Yeah, you were away, so I was like, it's fine. I can pace Rick. Like my PB's relatively close to that, but I'll give it a go. Then I forgot that obviously we were filming. It is a 1-take video, so like if you go and watch this video, the footage of me and Rick running, sitting underneath that, is literally the whole attempt.
It's
you
mad.
can see and
It's
hear
really
the
nice
entire thing. We throw some stuff over the top just to make it a little bit more visually interesting behind the lens there. But you literally see the whole thing. So it was.
You did it. I don't know how you talked the whole for 23
well,
minutes.
So this is what's interesting is that we always say, like, if you're really struggling with like easy runs, or if you're struggling to hit like a certain pace, go with someone else, because you get distracted and you might actually end up going faster than you think you can. That was a perfect example, because if you told me to go out and run a 23-minute 5K, I would be like, no chance. Don't know if I could hit that 1 week to the next. Whereas I was like, 1, I have to. 2, I have to keep talking. And so I didn't really notice.
Sorry, I was going to say, because I don't think I've ever said less on a video.
that was genuinely Sarah's feedback. I was like, how honest, because we have done some videos before, where actually this is a really old video that we might remake soon, it was inspired by a footballer called Ross Barkley, who it was called the Ross Barkley 5K, where it was not about elapsed time, so you could pause your watch and you just had to accumulate 5K. So we set you that challenge, which basically meant you could spend all day running 5K in like 100-meter chunks. So naturally you had a picnic on a cricket pitch and split it into really short sprints.
Is that in my back garden?
It was not. Your back garden's not that big. And then
no, it wasn't.
And then I watched the footage of that. This is years ago. I watched the footage back, and you were meant to be sprinting all out, and you honestly, I've never seen anyone try less hard in a challenge.
I think as well, the time
Sarah
that you
said you were all
ran for
out.
that was slower than your, like, when you could literally rest. But I'm pretty sure it was definitely in the 20s.
So anyway, my point being here, Sarah's feedback to me when I heard what had happened here was that you were properly spent and like on the floor afterwards. This was an all-out.
Yeah.
Well, because we pushed it too far, quite frankly. Our aim was to run negative splits, but around 4:45, going down to 4:35 per kilometre.
Nice, easy maths
Yeah.
from me.
But
Yes.
somehow it went a little bit wrong in the middle.
Well, Rick got a little bit excited in kilometre 3.
Yeah.
And then really paid for that in kilometre 4.
Yeah. And so I ended up having to absolutely sprint for the last 250 metres. And I mean sprint.
Yeah.
To beat it.
Yeah.
And then I guess, did you beat it?
4:23 was my final kilometre.
Oh, wow. Okay, so what was your...
4:23.
So we were aiming for 23:19, is that right?
23:19.
Was the previous PB, and what did you end up running?
23:16.
Oh, look at that. Oh, Sarah gives me a lot of stick for pacing, and you were pretty nervous about pacing this, but 3
That
seconds...
was spot
She
on.
was
Did
so
you,
good. I
Did
must
you
say,
get a
Sarah was
PB?
so good.
Yes.
When you say spot on, he's had to run 15 to 20 seconds too fast in that last kilometre
Yeah.
to get it.
Well, yeah, but he didn't. You lost track in the 4th kilometre, so we just
but
had to
I'm thinking,
push a little bit in the
Sarah,
5th.
let's hold our hands up here and be honest with the audience.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people to that event that day to do this. If I'd not done it, that would have been a real bad day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been a waste of a lot of people's time. Considering the times were 4:46, 4:44, 4:36,
That was the one that went wrong.
4:45,
Yep.
4:23.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's only really kilometre 4 that went wrong.
We
then.
probably
Yeah,
we
see?
pushed it a
Very good.
bit too close, I would say.
No,
Sounds
Rick.
perfect to me.
What?
It's like the pole vaulters. They only put the world record up by 1 centimetre every time. They
Yeah.
don't want no wasted energy and no wasted money, prize money for
Yep.
winning.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, but mate, I was running so hard in that final kilometre that I lost my hearing.
I tell you what, this is exactly
not.
like. So when I tried to go sub 4 for the first time in Berlin, and I ran 3:59.58. That again,
Perfect.
across a whole marathon,
3:59.58.
little bit tight. And
Yeah,
again,
I see.
ran pretty much my
3:59.58.
10k
Oh my gosh,
PB pace. I ran a 4:30 split for my last kilometre in a
Really?
marathon, which was stupid. But one of our editors, Tito, was like, "No, that was spot on. You should have done that because otherwise, for the audience, it's not tense." So actually,
So you've deliberately made the left,
I
left the
wasn't
audience
trying to
hang-
make it tense. I was just trying to survive. And if you watch back this video, I don't think I say more than 6 words.
Best-
The whole video.
what you do say,
Considering
no, what
I first made a running channel video in 2019 in Battersea Park.
Yeah.
And I must have done 250 videos. I must have done.
Well, and I would agree that generally the best ones are when you say 6 words or less. I think that's
But
according to
when-
definitive
I
audience
think
feedback.
we found like Rick's thing that he just always does is that he like latches onto something and then just repeats it loads. Because you know, like when you were like, "Where's she from? Where's she from? Where's she from?" When you're talking about Hannah, the thing that you do in this video is in the last kilometre, you just keep going, "It's too close." Oh, sorry, it's more like, "It's too close. It's too close." Just running along. And and the thing is as well, is that the watch screen that I had was banking on the fact that we would pace
yeah.
each kilometre perfectly. So then when we didn't, I was like frantically cycling through being like, I don't think I set up a watch screen for this. That
Can't
was
do the
average.
maths.
And I
Can't do the
couldn't do the maths at all. So I was literally, all I was looking at by the end was the timer and
Yeah.
being like, I reckon you could do 100 metres in 30 seconds, mate.
Keep going.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. That was close.
Yeah, it was close.
Stamina-wise,
Yes.
I was down to 67%
On your watch.
by the end.
No, you were actually less. So that was your stamina potential.
Oh,
So you were actually, it was more like 23%
Oh, you'd
by
pretty-
the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
You were very spent.
This is another watch metric that you don't
What?
fully
So
understand.
stamina, basically, this is, I had to explain this to Ben who edited this video, so I've got it in my head now. So stamina will give you 2 figures. It will give you your stamina potential, which is kind of a measure of like your endurance and how long you could go for.
Okay.
So
So
if you allowed yourself to recover back up to that point, basically.
Yeah,
So,
so if you,
ideally,
like,
they should be
really-
the same thing.
Yeah. But
Right.
so your stamina potential at the end was 66.
mine went like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Rick's
like,
pointing
you
very steeply
literally-
downwards.
What was so funny though is that we like started pretty much the same, and then just my stamina like went down a little bit, and yours was like straight
Yeah.
down. But your potential was still there. So like if you'd recovered, you would have the
There was no
endurance
time.
to keep going.
And
but
Sarah was talking the whole way around.
Yeah, so I think kudos to Sarah. Also,
Yeah.
Sarah's been
Thanks.
paced by me in a very similar video a few years ago, and you hated every second of it, didn't you?
it was awful. It is awful. But I think
How was your experience being paced by Sarah?
oh,
I blocked her out after 5 minutes.
brilliant. Excellent. It's
same,
all
as
right,
the,
mate.
same as the podcast?
Yeah, most people do.
I did notice
Hey,
one thing that
no.
go on.
No,
go on.
Whilst you're here, you sent. Hang on. Whilst Rick,
Hello.
whilst Rick is absolutely slating me, can we go back to the text that you sent me the day after?
I know what this text says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See? Oh no, Sarah,
There we
you're
go.
awful. I hate you so
I love how
much.
far we've got to go back in those
You're-
texts to find it.
Oh, yeah.
What have I been sending you since?
Oh yeah, we have texted quite a lot.
Oh, do you guys have a little? We've got a
Yeah,
group
it's
chat
called
for the
I
podcast.
Hate Andy.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not in the.
Don't tell him. We've changed it. We changed that.
So on the day after,
Mm.
you went, you were amazing yesterday.
Yeah, but what about the 5K pacing?
She was good. She was good. Can I
Just a little
talk
behind the
about some
scenes
stats very briefly? Because we're running out of time.
About what?
So, right.
Oh,
Cadence.
so we talk about Rick some more.
Are we
No,
still
no,
talking
hang on.
about
I-
stamina?
Yeah.
No, relevant stuff. Cadence and stride length. Cadence
Yeah.
dropped throughout.
Yeah.
Stride length increased throughout.
Well,
Explain that to me.
That's how those two things work.
Right, fantastic. It all worked well.
So if you take more steps per minute, then it's likely that your stride length will decrease. And if you take fewer steps per minute, so your cadence decreases, then your stride length might have to increase if you're going at the same pace. That's how that works.
Hey, no question is a stupid question on this podcast.
That makes sense though, that your cadence would decrease as you were going through it.
Mm.
One, you're getting more tired, and then as you're saying, you're accelerating into that last kilometer, so you're probably having to take slightly longer strides to make that happen.
I remember a lot of people actually emailed us talking about how their stride length had shortened post-injury. So that means your cadence has increased
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
post-injury.
Yeah, likely to reduce that impact slightly. If you're taking slightly shorter steps, then you're taking less risks of potentially overstriding and jarring your knees and hips and stuff. So, yeah, that would make sense. But then you were striding out towards the end in this final kilometer, which is why your cadence probably decreased and your stride
Everything
length
was
up.
going out.
Yeah, just all out.
Yeah,
all out effort.
yeah.
420 what for last kilometer?
4:23 last kilometer.
That is
But
Sterling effort.
if we
Yeah,
look
yeah.
back at your positive split park run that you did a few weeks ago, that
Yeah.
started off at 4:23. So we've reversed it the right way around, and you got a PB.
Oh yeah, that was a hell of a.
Well, I think
Yeah, that
I
was a
think we
lot.
should set you a new goal then. There's no time frame on this, but 4:23. I'm trying to very quickly do the maths. 4:20 would be
4:30 would be
21:40.
22:30.
4:20 is 21:40 for 5K. So I think that you can do a sub 22 minute 5K. You just need to do every kilometer at the same as that last one.
Andy, I think for most people, it's just about kissing the PB and moving on.
Oh, okay, fine.
Kissing it and moving.
No,
Kissing it and moving on,
What,
and then-
what's
Yeah.
next? What's next for Rick Kelsey?
No,
The
just
world
kissing
is-
it and moving on, and then sending a text message the following day to say you're wonderful
amazing
yesterday.
Oh, God, I hate you both so much.
Is that a hickey on your neck?
From my dog, not from you.
From your
Yeah.
dog. That's weird.
No, obviously it's not. That was a joke.
Ah.
That was a joke.
Okay.
But my dog does.
Your dog does what?
What does it? Okay.
I was
Rick's
going to
trying to
say
wrap
my
us
dog
up.
does sleep in the bed.
Right, next up,
Anyway.
10K. Let's nail that one. 51.50.
Okay, well,
51.50. Andy can pace you for that one. That's a lot of me. Or actually, should we take it in turns? Do 5K each.
oh yeah.
Who would be?
And then you can
who
say
would-
who's the best pacer.
Yeah,
Well,
who
I've
would
got to
you
try
want
Andy
in-
now. Now I've tried you.
Oh God, this has descended into farce.
Hey, you and Andy did share a room at the National
We've
Running
shared a
Show,
room
so
a lot
maybe,
recently.
Yeah, we
maybe
did.
you
We've shared
have
a room
to-
a lot.
We did.
Okay, well, that is this is the Running Channel podcast. It's descended into absolute madness. Up next, we've got your questions, but first, there's been a lot of news, which we're going to delve into now.
Right, what have you got, Sarah?
Well, this absolutely made me giggle, although I would be gutted if this happened to me. Miami Marathon
Yep.
have incredible medals. They're shaped, it's called a sun-shaped spinner medal. That's a mouthful.
Ooh.
So it's kind of like round and it's got loads of spiky bits, like if you were going to
Okay.
draw a sun.
Yeah.
The race organisers put out a message, but not everyone saw it before the marathon, saying, by the way, if you're flying home after, put it in your check luggage because it's not going to be accepted through airport security. Not everyone saw this, and so some people had their medals confiscated
no.
at airport security on
Devastated.
the way
Oh
home.
my gosh. I
Oh.
think
The
Miami
race-
by Will Smith's probably the one rap I can do start to finish.
Well, I mean, have we got time on the podcast
I
for that today?
never want to hear that.
Okay, maybe next week.
Benvenido, Ami.
Do you need a...
I need a yeah. Miami. South Beach, feeling the heat. Y'all feel that? Y'all feel that?
I think this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
But yeah, basically, if you have got your medal taken away, apparently they are sending out replacements in the post. But that's an important thing. Be careful with your medals.
Well, look after the things that you worked really hard to earn.
Yeah, because most people, like I've been on planes before where people wear them on the plane home.
Wasn't there a news story on the running channel about how a bunch of people had stolen loads of medals because they thought they were real gold?
Yeah, that was the other thing as well. That is also, if you want up-to-date news, which is essentially where I steal all this stuff from for the podcast, check out our website, all socials, because we post loads of news there. But yeah, they thought it was gold and they stole like 200 medals.
No, they weren't.
No, surprisingly enough,
Andy.
race medals, not real gold.
Okay, my turn. It was the US Olympic trials for the marathon at the weekend. So this is the broadly first across the post qualifying system. And this, the reason I'm talking about this isn't necessarily for the results, but I will very quickly touch on them. But more just the principle of it, because we don't have this in the UK.
No.
So it's very complicated to qualify for the Olympic marathon for the Team GB team for Great Britain and Northern Ireland. So because we don't have a definitive trial, there's lots of qualifying times you have to run, and then there's various selection processes which are fairly subjective, which does lend itself to, I imagine a fair amount of politics. Certainly when I was running, there was a lot of discussion of the politics of who got selected.
Because there's
and the
also
merits
like,
of it.
you have to, there's a window, right, of when you've run the qualifying time, but then also if that's been a while ago, you then have to prove that you're still at that
you have to
fitness.
demonstrate fitness as well and so on. Whereas in the US, if you have the qualifying time that's set by the Olympic Committee, and you've also run the qualifying time in order to run in the Olympic trials, which is slower because they want a larger field there, then they have hundreds of runners there. So there's a deep field, and that's possibly the big difference in the UK. You wouldn't get as many people who are as fast because the population's not as big.
So if I was a US runner and I qualified for the Olympic trials and then I came first, but I've run under the Olympic qualifying time, do I still get a place?
Under it, as in you've run the Olympic qualifying time?
No, as in I haven't run it.
No, I don't think so.
It's complicated.
So even though there's a trials, you still have to have run.
Yeah, all Olympic trials do work in that way. Like you still have to meet the standards set by the international federation or whatever in order to run. So if you just had an amazing day out there, but it's sort of irrelevant because they ran super fast and they had the time. So the first two, Conor Mantz and Clayton Young in the men's race, are actually friends and training partners, went to university together.
That's
really lovely
cool.
story, and they broadly crossed the line together.
Nice.
Although Clayton Young let Conor Mantz go across the line first, from my understanding. And
He's not going to do that in the Olympics, though, is he?
small claim to fame. If you remember when you you ran the Boston Marathon last year, the day before,
Yeah.
I had a much harder challenge, which was to try and beat the Strava segment up Heartbreak Hill.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy who actually still has it, I think,
Yes.
anyway, I haven't checked it, but who was ahead of me because I ended up coming second, is Conor Mantz, the guy that won the Olympic trials at the weekend.
I'm just going to glide over the fact that you said me running a marathon was
I tried to
less
sneak that
hard
in there. Tried to sneak that in
than
there.
you running up a hill.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that the US have this very established trial with so many runners there to decide who gets to the Olympics, to make it a much more definitive process, whereas it's a lot vaguer for a lot of other countries. But yeah, shout out to Conor Mantz, Clayton Young and Leonard Correa, who were the first three in the men's races, and then Fiona O'Keefe, Emily Sisson and Dakota Lindworm in the women's.
Nice.
Awesome. It's question time. Becca from Denver, Colorado. You're welcome, Rick. I signed up for my first marathon this mid-November in Savannah, Georgia. I've done a couple of 10Ks and a couple of half marathons very slowly in the past few years, but rarely go out for a training run. Wow.
Yeah, surprising, yeah.
I know that I won't be able to get away with relying solely on my other activities, hiking and horseback riding, as training for a marathon, but I'm unsure as to how to start pre-marathon training. I have started a run-walk 10K training plan to get me going and prep for a couple of races this spring. At this point, I'm 41 weeks out from marathon race day. That's unbelievable. She's done all that without any training.
Imagine if you could train for a marathon on horseback.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I think I'd rather do the running.
Yeah.
No, I would.
Horses scare me a little bit.
Oh.
Imagine doing that around here. Go around Old Street on a horse to train.
Yeah, I think that's only the police that can do that.
Yeah.
Oh, Sarah's all with the sound effects today. We've had beatboxing.
Very good.
Beatboxing,
Very
horses. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
good luck,
You're
Becca.
weak.
I think that she's sort of addressed her own question though, and that she said she started a run walk 10K training plan for races this spring. Exactly the right thing to do. I don't think you can wing a marathon, or not in a way that you want to do it.
No,
if
you
want to
can't.
enjoy it.
No.
So you just need to get that time on the feet. And 41 weeks will disappear quite quickly, but you've got loads of time. So asking yourself the question now is the right thing. So I would immediately be saying intermediate goals. So you've got those spring races, building up to running fairly regularly. Like I do think you need to be running 3 times a week really to run a marathon. So that should be the goal, I think. And if you can get to that point in the summer where you're regularly running 3 times a week, then that's plenty of time to then do a proper marathon build up from that point.
The hiking will definitely help as well.
Yeah, time on your feet.
Horseback riding, not quite so sure.
good for
But
the calves,
the
the
other thing
hiking.
I would say is Anna did a video a couple of years ago now on jeffing, the
Yes.
Jeff
Oh, yeah.
Galloway method.
Jeff Galloway, yeah.
On run walk, and it's actually incredible how for some people they can run a faster marathon by run walking than by running. So it might be worth looking at that method because it's much more structured and you're actually doing a like run walk strategy
Yeah, it's
right from
clever.
the start rather
Yeah.
than like going for 30k and then having to walk the rest. So
Amazing.
check that out.
Yeah, good luck, Becca.
Right, Mark from Surrey. Question for Andy. With his minibus full of kids, does he have
Mark.
any tips for running with a buggy? First time father, which I intend to start running with the little one at my local park run soon.
So
Minibus.
You've only just got that.
Do you
Keep
just-
paying attention?
No, I was just rereading it. Do you just push the minibus because you can't fit them all in a buggy?
Yeah, imagine how
That
big.
would be impressive. He'd snap.
Imagine how big my buggy would have to be. It'd
Yeah.
take up the whole width of the park run course.
It is always embarrassing, isn't it, when someone in a buggy overtakes you on park run? No, it's embarrassing for me, not necessarily for everybody. But you know when a buggy goes past you,
Oh,
like,
especially
oh,
if it's quite a
Yeah.
traily park run, and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, I wish I had your
wish
strength.
I had your strength.
Yeah, because it's hard running with sort of one arm because you do have to be holding it with at least
Yeah.
one hand to steer it if you do get a good running buggy. So I haven't really done it unbelievably.
Hey, you were saying you wanted to fit all your runs in. Maybe this is the
Maybe this is the
solution.
way.
Yeah,
Get
out.
Miles in there.
big and heavy
And
now though.
Get Miles will be all right in there.
Yeah.
Andy's not up to it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Andy's scared.
Me and Rick, same upper body ability. So
Even holding that bit of paper.
And
they talk about don't skip leg day. I've skipped arm day for 20 years.
there's a lot of people at the moment writing in the comments. Is Andy's kid called Miles? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And
Yes.
your first kid is called
Kilometres.
Brilliant. I hate you both. So I haven't
Middle
done it, but-
child, yards.
Yards.
Well, I mean, I would. I'd be the only one here that'd be able to do any of the conversions between those 3 things. So
All right, Cambridge.
Oh yeah, you're the winner here, mate.
yeah, that was a terrible comeback. Mark, I would just say that it needs a little bit of practice. And needs to get used to running without your arms or an arm and swapping arms is quite difficult. But getting a buggy that does freewheel quite nicely is the key.
Yeah.
And that
Don't
you can
use,
actually
I've
control
got
it.
a baby yo-yo mama. And
Yeah.
they are just no good.
Yeah, and
for running with.
we did buy
But
one.
very good for cities.
We did buy one second hand at one point, and it was very cheap and rickety, and that meant it was almost unusable. So
I saw there is some very good. Have a Google because there are some good hacks online. I think I've seen something about like whether you should or shouldn't have like a wheel locked or something.
yeah, but in terms of steering it, and then the other thing is that your baby does need to be old enough in terms of their neck strength and so on to
Yeah.
be kind of jostled about in a buggy.
basically
so
needs to
just
be
be
one,
a little
don't
bit
they?
careful.
Yeah. Well,
Best of luck. Let us know
that
how you
was
get on,
fun.
Mark.
That was fun.
That was good.
That was fun. Yeah.
Why have you got a cheeky little grin on your
You
face?
have got a little grin. What's he going to do?
What do you mean?
Come on, hit us with it.
No, I was going to finish it off with a bit of thought, to round off this podcast.
Oh,
Rick's
no.
thought for the day.
Rick's brain.
You got 30,000 days on this earth, and you'll never be as young as you are right now. So attack the day, everyone.
Oh, that really wasn't worth waiting. We had to wait for him to find that on his phone. It was pretty profound. Maybe it's
I
more
thought it was
profound
quite
if you're
good.
listening to it.
What do you mean you've got 30,000 days?
You got about 30,000 days on earth.
Yeah.
Oh, as in
Yeah.
like the average person?
Yeah.
Right. What about if I've only got 29,999?
Well, even
you'll
more
still
reason
never
to
be
seize
as
the
young
day.
as you are today.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
attack the day.
Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going
Thanks,
to attack
Rick.
the day
Yeah.
by finishing off this podcast. Thanks very much for listening.
Or watching.
Whoa, whoa,
yeah.
whoa,
This
whoa.
is a listen
Oh,
and watch
Have I
one.
gone too early?
Whoa, I have a little bit at the end.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, sorry.
Sarah.
What are you going to ask people to do this
Thank
week? What's
you.
your favour?
I'm going to ask people that since you've only got 30,000 days on this planet
Mm.
and you need to seize every single day, what are you doing to seize the day right now? Email in podcast@therunchannel.com. Drop us a little comment. Mainly send them to Rick because he'll care the most, but send them to me and Andy as well. If you've
Yeah.
got any questions, let us know. And now we'll see you next time.
Oh, she's very much in charge.
Isn't she?
Who wears the
gosh.
trousers? And me.
I can hear her again now.